Hey guys, so breaking news within World Rugby. SANZAAR and the Six Nations have just announced a new competition to start within 2026. I'm lost for words, guys, but I'm going to break it down for you right now. But before I do so, click the like button, guys, and subscribe towards the channel. But as you can see here, this is kind of like the I guess the overview you could say of this new competition that SANZAAR and the Six Nations have kind of just launched like literally right now, guys. As I've stated, the first point is that SANZAAR and the Six Nations are working in a partnership to establish a new international rugby competition due to start in 2026. So this is massive for the game, guys, because again we do have a bit of time obviously before this competition kind of gets under the way, because again this is only starting within 2026, so we have like what two and a half years before this format kind of kicks in anyway. But again, when you look at the second point, it does say that the new competition will take place within the existing July and November international rugby windows, which probably makes the most sense actually when you look at the rugby calendar, because those two spots are really where you have like July internationals where the northern hemisphere obviously kind of comes down towards the southern hemisphere to play games, and obviously you have the reverse obviously in November where the autumn nations kind of happens in that sense. So I do believe in terms of the scheduling, this is probably the best period of time to do it, and I think World Rugby has kind of nailed it really on those kind of in terms of the months they actually do this competition, because it seems that what will happen is that it'll be broken down within two kind of spots, obviously, with one happening within July and November, and I guess like the finals will take place within like November most likely, because I mean, when you look at like the teams involved in this, it does say that each of the four SANZAAR nations and the Six Nations rugby unions will be involved in this competition, and there'll be two invitational unions as well that would join the SANZAAR nations to form 6 and 6 really, to kind of create a 12 team kind of competition really. So it's going to be mind blowing to see what happens, guys, because again, just remind you guys, this does mean that within the SANZAAR nations you are going to have the likes of South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, and Argentina representing the SANZAAR nations, and then from the Six Nations point of view, you will have the likes of England, Wales, Ireland, Scotland, France, and Italy. So you're going to get every kind of big nation there is in terms of Tier 1 rugby involved in this competition. But this does mean that, like it said, there will be two invitational nations that will be involved in the first kind of you can say the launch of this competition really in the first stage. And most likely, and this is what I predicted beforehand, guys, because I did make a video on this in the past. I did say that Japan and Fiji would be the most likely kind of rugby unions to be involved in this competition going forward, just because I think Japan brings a lot of broadcasting money, to say the least, and they're the whole union has grown massively throughout the last few years now. Obviously, since that 2019 Rugby World Cup, they demonstrated that they have the ability to beat Tier 1 nations, beating the likes of Ireland and Scotland in their group, and having a good challenge, you could say, against the Box, obviously in that quarterfinal game. But overall, they've been very impressive, obviously, and kind of risen, you could say, throughout the ranks since that tournament. As they've been able to bring players, from Europe, as well as from the Southern Hemisphere, to join their Japanese top league as well. So even their kind of like their local you could say competition is even getting better in terms of the game. So you can definitely tell that they're, in terms of the Japanese, just rugby union as a whole, they're definitely kind of a union I can definitely see getting involved in this competition to start off with. The other one really though is Fiji, and I think Fiji is probably the most likely one out of all the other nations I can think of, just because they're really developing the game right now as we speak, because obviously with the introduction of Fiji Dur, I think, what was it, last year, you're now kind of starting to see these sides now kind of improve. And again, we've seen the massive jump that Fiji Dur has had from year 1 to year 2, beating the likes of the Crusaders, the Hurricanes at home. They've had big results this year, and they're gonna keep doing that as the years go on. And again, they're gonna have time to kind of develop their game even further before this competition even starts in 2026. So I do believe Fiji Dur is going to bring more of a rugby aspect to this competition rather than the financial aspect which Japan would bring, if that makes sense. But I guess kind of just going off the next few points here, it does say that SANZAAR and Six Nations will own and operate the elite competition. So this does mean that there won't be any other entity obviously involved in this competition. It will only just be SANZAAR and the Six Nations. So you could say this kind of hurts kind of other nations' ability to kind of get into this, because this does mean that we may not get to see maybe a I don't know. Does this mean we'll get to see American team get in, or well, the kind of a Northern Hemisphere, a Northern America team, get in, or will we not get to see a Southern American team get in? So it's really interesting to see that it only goes towards these two kind of entities, because this does mean that this kind of may block a few tier 2 nations in the process. And again, on the last point, it does say that World Rugby will create a newly formed second-tier competition, guys, that will facilitate promotion and relegation from 2030. So this does mean that when you look at the tier 2 kind of just just scale overall, in terms of rugby nations, this does mean that nations like Georgia, or even like Chile, or I don't know, like Tonga or Samoa, may not be able to get involved in this process. I mean, maybe because SANZAAR is maybe part of Tonga and Samoa, maybe they have a chance, but nations like Chile may not even get an opportunity to get involved in this competition, or even like Georgia. I mean, I feel bad. I really feel bad for Georgia, because when you look at that kind of that stat beforehand, it says that it doesn't only start within 2026, and they're saying this promotion relegation system will only start within 2030. So it means that there's going to be a 4-year gap where no tier 2 nation will actually play a tier 1 nation within those periods of time, within the July internationals, what we all know as the July internationals and November internationals. So this really does hurt, I guess, tier 2 rugby, massively, guys, because it means that these nations won't be able to kind of get I guess experience from playing tier 1 nations, which can really damage them really when it comes towards the bigger competitions like the Rugby World Cup, obviously, because it means that it kind of just dampens kind of their chances in terms of I don't know, creating chances within games, really, because they won't know how to play against those teams, as they wouldn't have played for them for a while. So yeah, it really does hurt teams like, because Georgia, I mean, they literally beat Italy and Wales this year. So yeah, I mean, it really does, kind of hurt teams like Georgia. But yeah, I mean, look, overall, guys, I am actually pretty happy about this competition. I'm not going to say I'm not happy about this, because again, it's something which I've wanted for a long time, of course, because I feel like we've always needed kind of that second tier kind of competition towards the Rugby World Cup, and this is what's going to be, guys, because it's essentially like a international Heineken's Cup. That's kind of the way I can say this, guys. It's going to be like an international Heineken Cup. And yeah, you're going to get Southern Hemisphere and Northern Hemisphere involved. And most likely what will happen is that within, I don't know, the November period, you'll probably have like the 6 teams, probably 2 will qualify from each, I don't know, group, if that makes sense. And then, yeah, from there you have like semifinals and then a final, most likely. And then you'll probably have within like a neutral location, I'd say. So you never know, maybe like Hong Kong get involved. Maybe a final can be played within Hong Kong. I'd love to see that. But no. Anyway, guys, I'm just mind blown for what I've seen here, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this competition. Do you think this is great for the game of rugby, or do you think this actually hurts rugby in the long term? Let me know in the comments below, because I am actually very interested to see what you guys think. But anyway, guys, I'll see you guys next time.
I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave with money that's a stick up. She picture perfect, so I told him I'm a flick up. Feel I'm in the mood for a change up.